Hello and welcome to another beautiful day of Randomizer. I'm Ben Creighton, joined today by Coy.
Hey, Ben.
And we have two screen names that I'm about to butcher. AmazingAmpharos versus, is it Ralen Tankir? Am I close?
I'll give you like an 8 out of 10.
B's get degrees.
You think about I'd be sick of Rando by now, Like play it every day, watch it every day, comment every day. But nope, I love this game and I am so excited to be here right now.
I'm with you. It's one of the reasons why I signed up for this commentary team. I realized I have been doing this for a year straight. I should probably jump in and help out in some way, shape, or form. And it looks like we're getting started.
So this is the game 1 of a best of 3 in our decider match for this group. Decider match meaning that one of these runners will advance to the bracket stage and one will be eliminated from the entire tournament. So lots on the line right here.
Absolutely. As a game 1, we're doing standard settings, 7-7, everything normal. Hookshot in Sanctuary and an early map check reveals all crystals in the light world.
Blue rupees from the tree pull, not the worst thing to find. You do need 50 rupees to buy some bombs once we do get to Kakariko, and there are 2 opportunities for tree pulls here. So grab all 4 of those each time. It's 40 rupees, just 10 away.
And we've got a blue goo hiding behind the lumberjacks. Not something that we're super likely to collect, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, pretty unlikely with there being 4 bottles, but it wouldn't be the first time I've seen a required bottle from Lumberjack. It's pretty interesting, Barth. Our runners doing the exact same opening round. This is pretty uncommon, actually. There's just so many options in the early game. Typically, you don't see people do the exact same thing.
Absolutely, and that early hook shot giving us some nice chances to save some frames moving around the woods here as both of our runners pick up their Moon Pearl in the forest hideout.
It's nice not having a trolling Moon Pearl today. Not really like a big difference maker, obviously, because they're doing the exact same thing. But, I'd rather have the Moon Pearl than not have it. And both our runners are not to save and quit. Sometimes you see people save and quit after doing the Sanctuary start if they didn't get bombs, and opt to get the bombs from the 50-50 bushes instead. But we're both going, oh my god, Ralen Tankir getting a bomb from the guard. That's awesome.
There we have the lamp in the Kakariko well, as well as the Ether Medallion. And the gloves, stacked well today.
Yeah, unfortunately not picking up any bombs or even rupees to buy bombs there, AmazingAmpharos was. So he's going to have to go and hope for somewhere else.
Yep, and he's opted to head to the south part of the village rather than heading into Blind's hideout, where we know from looking at Ralen's screen, 3 bombs await him.
There is a single 50-50 bush in these bushes here that he's going for. But if you don't get it, man, is it slow to reset the room. This is very unfortunate for AmazingAmpharos.
Yeah, that's a real way to get your run off to a bad start. Just banging your head against the random number generator, hoping for bombs.
Yeah, especially with there happening to be 3 bombs in Blind's hideout. So if he had just chosen that one first, it would have been so much better. There we go, we got it now. And he'll spend this bomb on the bomb shack here to turn it into more bombs. But again, this is like just a lot of time that he's going to have to spend on bomb farming that Ralen Tankir didn't have to spend at all.
Our beautiful beturbaned merchant giving out a partial refund today. Nothing too exciting.
Speaking of bombs, Ralen just throwing one to the top of the room. He didn't like that bomb. It wasn't a good bomb.
And speaking of refunds, he gets his 2 bombs spent in the chicken hut refunded and then some with interest.
Ralen Tankir can do no wrong, you guys. Salt nowhere and AmazingAmpharos picking up those bombs. This isn't like an unrecoverable amount of time, but this is definitely a significant amount of time lost here at our start of the game for AmazingAmpharos. Hopefully it doesn't affect him moving forward. I know I can tend to get pretty tilted, but AmazingAmpharos is a pretty experienced runner.
Yeah, early in the race, every little time loss feels like the end of the world, and then by the end, you're dealing with maybe doing entire dungeons that your opponent skipped, and those little time sinks at the beginning seem a lot less important.
Ralen Tankir taking those gloves he found in Kakariko over to Back of Escape is pretty standard play here to do Back of Escape as soon as you find the gloves. But the gloves do other things, such as giving us access to Death Mountain logically now. And with that hook shot that we got in Sanctuary, we can do a lot of checks on Death Mountain. We did find the small key here in Back of Escape, so Ralen Tankir is going to take that on to Dark Cross, which is in logic with our lamp. Hopefully not a map. I know a lot of players will opt to not grab this chest here in Dark Cross immediately, hoping that they can skip it later with it being a map or something. But that wouldn't involve death warping if you fail the gamble. And it was a map. Oh. I mean, that's a place that AmazingAmpharos may be able to save time, though, if he opts not to go for Dark Cross.
Absolutely, and then Ralen saving, quitting out to Link's house and heading towards South Shore, putting off that Death Mountain play until later.
Yeah, honestly, this does make a lot of sense to put off Death Mountain for a while, because while Death Mountain is a lot of checks and you're almost definitely going to be going there eventually, there are things that you could bring with you that make it even better. So like in this situation, like the hammer would be really nice, because then you'd be able to get over to Tower Para. Where conversely, there's not a lot of stuff that's going to make South Shore any better than it is right now.
And yes, indeed, it looks like AmazingAmpharos has opted not to head towards Dark Cross. So that'll be a nice time save if he winds up doing front side of Escape and realizing he doesn't have to do it at all.
Ralen following the density, heading over to Mini Moldorm Cave. Sometimes you see people walk over to Agina's Cave right away, even at this point in the game, just as like an anti-meta, I don't want to get ruined by this one item location kind of play. Nice hookshot clip there from AmazingAmpharos, letting him check both these items on a single trip. Mini Moldorm Cave, though, pretty empty for Ralen.
Yep, one lag-laden red boomerang, and that's about it.
Red Boom does have a lot more value today than it did maybe like a month ago with the new Splash Delete tech, but you don't see that too often being important. And the Red Boom only strats are actually kind of tricky. Ampharos trying to throw some early bombs here in Mini Moldarm Cave and whiffs them both. Hookshot, though, is a very effective weapon against Mini Moldarms. Ice Run Cave also turning up empty. Imagine I'll go to the mountain now. Nope, we're going somewhere else.
And it looks like Ralen may be making a beeline for the Sage's Closet. That would be the item density in this direction. But
maybe Flashlight? Are we doing the red boom strat I just talked about? No, he's just checking out. He can do it. It is possible to do it with the red boom and 2 bombs. It's a little tricky, but it's not too bad if you land the setup.
Ampharos playing extra careful. These crabs hit like trucks with green mail alone, and they move very erratically.
Oh, and he spawns the green guard? No! Okay, we're fine. Everything's fine. And the green pennant in Misery Mire. Hey,
Sage's
that's
Closet
exactly
hiding a mirror.
So the mirror means that you can now get to Tower of Hera the other direction, right? So you don't really need the hammer as much as you used to for going up the mountain.
Yep, and with Lamp in tow, even if Hera does happen to be fire-locked, it is a full clearable crystal dungeon at this point. Or rather, it would be. Yeah, so easy to forget. Yeah, the rest of the dungeon's fine.
So super interesting that he went over to Sahasra's hut. You see players often try to avoid going to Sahasra's hut for as long as they can until they can do Eastern with it. So it's a little bit of a time loss if you have to like walk over there again, but it's not a huge deal. So good on Ralen opting to make that small gamble and getting rewarded with that mirror. Hey, getting bodied here by these boulders. You do only need 1 heart to check Spectacle Rock Cave, though. I am aware of this. So AmazingAmpharos is walking up here to Spectacle Rock Cave instead of immediately going to the hookshot side on the off chance that this is like the hammer or something. Where Ralen Tankir knows that he has the mirror and he doesn't want to go up to Hera right now without a weapon, so that's off for a second. So you can see how just having the mirror completely changed the routing of the mountain. Monka has AmazingAmpharos. He is 1 dead rock away from dying. Meanwhile, Ralen Tankir picking up those Titans for our Dark World access.
That is a great find here, giving you Dark Death Mountain access on the first trip with the mirror so that you can easily get back. That just makes routing so much nicer.
Unfortunately, Mitt's Moonpearl, no hammer, no weapon is probably the most disgusting way to start any seed. As soon as he leaves the mountain, there is nothing good to do. So hopefully we do find something here on Dark Death Mountain. Like a hammer.
Well, fortunately, with full hookshot cave access, we do have quite a few checks to hope to get something useful.
Just a mushroom here in Paradox Cave. I mean, it's something. Both runners nailing the Paradox Cave bomb jump. Easily the hardest bomb jump in the game. I'm not kidding. It really is. Trust me.
Both of our runners taking the long, slow slog across Spiral Cave with no boots to speed things up.
Yeah, not exactly fun, but, mostly necessary. I don't know what you'd do without those 20 rupees.
I know what I'd do, which is get all up in my head for the entire rest of the seed, wondering if I just orphaned something important.
I mean, there are times where it makes sense this goes Spiral Cave. I don't think this is one of them, though, so it makes sense to see both of them do it. You're headed back down the mountain to re-enter the Dark World anyway.
Yep, and you've managed so many checks up here, it's going to be a while before you come back. If you leave something important behind, you've really done yourself a disservice.
Ralen Tankir nailing the Super Bunny hookshot clip here. AmazingAmpharos taking a little bit more time to set it up, but gets it as well. And there's our first bottle, which means we will not need the lumberjack bottle at least. And we find a book to go with it. Book is pretty gross.
Well, I suppose it does does allow us a tantalizing look at the Hera tablet while we're up here.
Yeah, we can look
But
at both
no collection.
now, but we won't be able to collect them. And then it also gets us into desert, which we can't full clear. Pendants at Ice Thieves and Green Pendant Mire. Gross.
That will be an ether medallion to get into Turtle Rock, which our lovely runners both have.
Well, I mean, it's one nice thing for our runners, not having to do that medallion hunt. And empty was Hookshot Cave. Ralen Tankir, though, will be able to stay on the mountain. He has the mirror and can mirror over to Tower of Hera and the Ether Tablet. Meanwhile, AmazingAmpharos has to leave. He is done. And we'll probably see him enter the Dark World north of Kakariko. But you have no weapon, no hammer. Like, what do you do here?
I suppose you can collect the first 4 in Thieves Town pretty easily. There's always that.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that blind is probably in logic with the Cane of Burna, but no magic extension Cane of Burna blind, pendant blind with no hammer to get the big chest. It's just so gross. We'll check Sick Kid first, though. Let's see what that is. Ralen enters Crystal Tower of Hera, though. He is not able to kill the boss here, so this is a pretty undesirable place to be, but, if you're here, you might as well.
And the sick kid's just handing out shields, because that's really what you want at this point, right?
I never turn out a shield. I like the shields. Every time I hear that little tink, meaning that my shield did something, I feel so happy. Yeah, Ralen, there's not really a ton of options here for you. You're gonna have to throw some pots. You can hookshot the hardhat beetles into the holes, but you'd have to walk all the way around them to do so. So he just opts to fall down on purpose and replenish those pots. There's our second bottle there in chess game. So if we find nothing here in Tower of Hera, the mirror has actually lost Ralen time. Because he will have to come back here again. Thankfully with the hookshot, that's not as long as it has to be. We can do Herapod. Not really sure why he's walking up when he has the hookshot equipped. You can just hookshot over to that big chest. But whatever works.
Well, I guess my understanding is without.
You were gonna say he would have to fall down to the floor below.
Yeah, without boots to bonk back. So
Yeah, he doesn't have a weapon to fight the boss anyway.
Yeah.
Ralen and Tankir opting to go for this item blind in Spectral Rock Cave. This is a play you often see when we play with hints, but there are no hints activated for this tournament, so another little time loss for Ralen. That lead that he generated early on is slipping away from him.
Meanwhile, Ampharos opting to take the Death Warp, not going deeper into blinds without the option to, fight blind.
He could kill blind. It's just the Caverna fight without a magic extension is very, very tight, and it's a pendant, and you'd be orphaned in a location. It's just horrible all the way around. Makes a lot of sense for him to leave these down. Apparently, we found the boots somewhere, though. I can't say I recall that.
Must have been in Thieves Town while we were watching Rail inside. Chat confirming, yes, boots in front side of Thieves Town.
That's a nice find, though, for AmazingAmpharos. I know a lot of players who like to skip the front of Thieves Town completely if they can't mirror out of it. The Death Warp is not desirable at all. Ralen does have the mirror, though, and we'll be able to make that call a lot easier. Opting to go front of Skull Woods first, though.
Yep, this is another one of those judgment calls where you can see different runners going either way. Is it worth dipping your face into Skull for a maximum of 2 items and maybe nothing at all?
I'd say this is definitely the more meta play to go into front of Skull Woods when you don't have the hammer. Like, the thing with the hammer is, like, the hammer doesn't really lock that much, but it makes such a difference in routing, and the things it does lock are so spread out from each other that not have the longer you don't have the hammer, the worse it becomes. So not leaving a single stone unturned is generally the order of the day.
And speaking of stones left unturned for the moment, Ampharos, still lacking that mirror, is having to bypass Cave 45 as he takes everyone's favorite bullfrog on a world tour here.
Yeah, no telling when he's going to be able to go over to Sahasra's cave. Hype cave, you can do no wrong. What do you got for us?
And there it is, our hammer.
Hey, that's a thing, you guys. It's a thing. Hammer and Hype Cave is a pretty terrible location to find the hammer, but AmazingAmpharos did get there pretty quickly, so no big deal. And we'll even be able to take our boots over to Kingscombe here. Get another check on the way to turning in that smith.
So far, this Skullwoods dip. Just as I start to say it, Ralen pulls the Red Cane from Skullwoods.
Yeah, Red Cane really nice, and it even makes blind a little more feasible. I still don't think he'd do blind just with it being a pendant and no hammer and everything. But the Samaria fight a little less restricted than the Caverna fight. I'm curious what AmazingAmpharos is going to do next. Like, right now, he's kind of forced to go back to Kakariko to turn into the Smith. He can't really do much with the Smith following him. Quake Medallion up on Bumper Cave. We do not have the cape for it, though.
And with Misery Mire being a pendant, unlikely that it'll come into play, but you never know.
Yeah, definitely. Especially without, like, even having access to Mire yet. But, you know, the flute might just turn up, and then suddenly, oh, let's go get the medallion. Smith giving a blue mill, so at least we got something for our trouble coming back here. And AmazingAmpharos looks like he's going to stay in Kakariko and head towards Village of Outcasts a second time. I thought he might leave because, like, this is just hammer pegs and Thieves Town if he really, really wants to. But I guess even though he has the hammer now, it's not like his options are really that great.
Yeah, you can take it to East Dark World, dip pod if you really want to.
Yeah, that's why I was so surprised not to see him continue on from Hype Cave onto the Pyramid and Catfish, just because his options are so thin at the moment. Like, the main thing the hammer does for him at this point is it gives him access to Tower Para. But that's pretty horrible to go up Death Mountain on the right side to get to the top left side. It's very, very slow. But he doesn't know where the mirror is, so, you know, I thought that might be what he did. But it looks like we're just going to do Mirrorless Smith here. He's heading over to turn in that purple chest. Might even re-enter the Dark World and... oh, he doesn't have the mirror, never mind. He can't do combos.
Now, ironically, having the mirror and being able to route Eastern and pod checks in the same run would actually make that area more attractive.
So Ralen, it keeps intentionally losing his magic here. He's setting up to do a fake powder. It's a little surprising to do that, just because he doesn't have the hammer. So, like, if he mirrors over to do Magic Bat, he's going to have to go re-enter the Dark World to come back for the purple chest. And definitely worth noting that Ralen Tankir did not go into Thieves Town. Very surprising with the mirror. Oh, desert. We can go desert. That makes a lot of sense.
It's a fully clearable crystal dungeon that neither of our runners have been to so far.
Yeah, this was already in logic with the Cane of Burna fighting Lanmolus. But like the blind fight, you don't really want to fight Lanmolus with the Cane of Burna. And it's actually boots lock when we have the boots. This is unprecedented. Ralen Tankir, no hammer. His mirror portal is inaccessible. He will have to walk back and re-enter the Dark World. Not much so far in Desert Palace here, but you know, Crystal Dungeon, you can't feel bad about being in a Crystal Dungeon. That's just perfectly fine. You know, everybody else who would ever do the Seed would also do Desert Palace, so any time lost from not finding things is perfectly accepted. Ralen finishing up these overall checks here in Village of Outcasts, and maybe we're going into Thieves? Okay, good. Alright, so he will get his boots. We found a whole lot of nothing here in the front of Desert. Maybe the boss will have something. I wasn't really counting the items.
I saw one of the two, obviously the heart container. Didn't catch the other one.
It's probably just like bow on land molus, right? So this land molus fight he's coming up on is still like not super easy. Like it's not like he's gonna die or anything, but making this fight fast when you're killing land molus with a hammer, not so fun.
That's right. You're contending against erratic RNG movement patterns on the boss's part, as well as fighting against the hammer's small and strangely placed hitbox.
Yeah, I believe it's 4 hammer hits per landmo. So 12 times they gotta nail a hammer hit on this fight. We got 2. There's 3. You can see how awkward it is to hit with the hammer, which has it hits a different area around you depending on what direction you're facing. Like if you're to the bottom, it's slightly to the right, and if you're to the top, it's slightly to the left. While at the same time, the landmos are moving in completely random directions, and when it's walking away from you, it can be really challenging. AmazingAmpharos makes it look easy, though, and picks up a compass. We did find both items in Desert Palace already.
Ralen Tankir, meanwhile, finishing up his purple lunchbox check.
So we see Ralen
heading in the same direction.
Yeah. So we see Ralen leave the purple chest behind. This is completely intentional. He will not be picking it up again. We call this the invisible purple chest glitch or tech or whatever you want to call it. But the idea here is that if you leave the purple chest in the dark world, if you mirror near the guy you turned it into, he kind of fails to understand that it's not actually there and gives you the reward anyway. AmazingAmpharos checking a Gina's cave. This has been accessible since the beginning of the game. That is a Sphere's 1 check, and it is a fetch quest. Always what you want to see when you go to Sphere 1, 30 minutes in. Oh, not opting to turn it in right away. I thought he'd definitely go turn it in. Ralen picking up his hammer while AmazingAmpharos is headed over to Eastern Palace. He will get his mirror here, and we'll see if that changes his decision-making. The assumption here is that if this is nothing, he would be going into Eastern, but I think the mirror might change his mind. He's walking outside.
He could maybe be heading towards the portal, wanting to route Pod in with his Eastern checks. I'm not sure where else Mirror pulls him at this point.
Well, it's like a faster way up to Tower of Hera. Like, he had access to Tower of Hera already with the hookshot and hammer, but like having already done East Death Mountain, it's really undesirable. But it would give him a way to get to Tower of Hera that wasn't like a complete double dip. But it looks like Pod is going to be the order of the day, with Eastern behind it. And the cape, which locked the Quake Medallion, is on the Bombos tablet.
That pesky murder dactyl. He's a pain in the best of times, but when we only have hammer to fend him off with.
Yeah, and even with Blue Mail, he's still doing 2 hearts of damage. He hurts. But no, I mean, Pod makes a lot of sense here for AmazingAmpharos. Like, it's not something you wanted to do from the beginning of the game or anything, but the options are getting real thin. So as long as this isn't boots locked, this play is a lot of stuff in logic. Or not boots locked, but bow locked. first chest is the bow itself. Never mind everything I said about bow lock. Who cares if it's bow lock? We just get the bow. Wow. Huge find for AmazingAmpharos. The lack of bow.
More crystals. Right there, an easy
definitely.
read.
Yeah, the lack of the bow is like the main reason like they didn't immediately come over here, right? I mean, if they knew the bow was here, they would have been to pod so much sooner.
Yeah, but especially now that bows are progressive, you see a lot of runners avoiding this area like the plague until they have that in hand, just knowing that there are 2 chances to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the odds that you're just gonna find a bow before you have to go to pod is just so much higher than it used to be. Oh, there was our second item in Desert. It was just 10 arrows in the big chest. AmazingAmpharos is not willing to play around with the key logic here. Just gonna check this to make sure it's a small key. It is. Oh, nice flippers there.
Flippers.
The flippers does quite a bit for us right now. That will be all of Swamp Palace and Logic, in addition to just regular flipper checks. I mean, it's still Swordless Swamp, but Swordless Swamp is better than no Swamp, right?
Are you willing to lay odds on a Slideshow Argus fight at this point? Because it looks like that might be where we're going, unless we find something really good in the rest of the pod here.
As long as I can switch between hammer and hookshot with only 1 motion or 2 motions, like it's not that bad. There's some really terrible menu layouts where it's like 3 or 4 motions to get between them. Ralen starting his hammer fight with Lambo. And again, like, there's no chance of him, like, dying to Lambo or anything. Like, he has so many hearts. And Blue Mail makes it to where Lambo barely hurts you. But doing this quickly is so difficult with the hammer.
Dark Maze coming up relatively dry as AmazingAmpharos heads towards his Helmasaur fight. And Ralen finishing up his Landmos.
And there is an item on Helmasaur. AmazingAmpharos could have chosen to like do Eastern first just to make this for a chance to make this Helmasaur fight a little easier. But these runners are pretty accomplished. Like, even if you don't have a ton of hearts, I don't think they're going to be too scared of doing Landmo with no sword, or Helmasaur with no sword.
I'm fairly sure Ampharos also does have a red potion in his back pocket if he needs it. So there's not too terribly much that he could hope to find in Eastern that would make the fight significantly quicker or easier for him. Unless we have the Cursed Seed where the other bow is in Eastern. Being able to one-shot that last phase would be nice.
Ralen continuing through the overworld here after Desert Palace. He is going... I don't know. I don't know where he's going. Oh, he's going straight to the shovel. Okay.
Ampharos letting these turtles get away from him a little bit, but he gets through it.
And not turning back for those 2 hearts, though, a little surprising. I mean, he'd probably be fine. It's just, it does not feel safe doing this without a sword.
Speaking of swords, Ralen at 39 minutes finds our first sword in the shovel spot.
Yeah, that shovel check that AmazingAmpharos essentially turned his nose up at. Like, he saved and quit to Link's house. He could have just gone left, instead went right. Going for bow strats here in phase 2. It is 8 arrows to the face to kill him. The closer you are, the faster you can shoot bows, but the more dangerous those fireballs become. Already down to 3 hearts. Oh, 2 hearts. Oh, clutching it out. Good job, AmazingAmpharos.
And we have a fire rod on Helmasaur. Put that together with the sword that Ralen found, and that's Skull Woods clearable.
Yeah, and then combined with the flippers too, both locked behind the bow that we found in the first chest of pod. That's man, what a pod. And he doesn't even have to follow those items right away. He still has Eastern Palace he can do. Hopefully finding even more things here. Looks like Ralen's not too interested in going back into Thieves Town. Just clearing up these mirror checks that he was unable to get on this first pass. Oh no, he did the mirror check. Oh, he's doing the boots checks, right. It was AmazingAmpharos who did the mirror.
And chat correctly pointing out, we do have another Ice Rod hunt for Go Mode here today.
Isn't that just awesome? Everyone's favorite Go Mode item. And before anyone asks, yes, the Ice Rod can be on the pedestal.
Yes, indeed. Every with only 2 crystals collected so far, Ampharos going for his 3rd, but every dungeon is clearable except for Turtle Rock.
And there's that single arrow. Ralen Tankir says, I don't need unique items. Let's get out of here.
And for those asking, yes, this is a standard 7/7 seed. Won't be able to skip Turtle Rock today. All kinds of places that lousy Ice Rod could be hiding. Could be on Ped, could be in a pendant Ice Palace. And at some point, we will need to find another sword in order to face Ganon, but there's a whole lot of checks between these runners, and that becoming an issue.
Ralen finishes up King's Tomb. He has an option here of where he can go next. Looks like we're going to walk over to Catfish with the... Oh, we're going to Splash Delete. Okay. Usually you see the Kern jump, but Splash Delete is a easier way to do this for sure. But you can't throw your bomb into the water. There we go. We got it. So this is a fairly newly discovered tech to fake. It's a new way to fake flipper. It's essentially the same way we've always fake flippered, but we erase the splash with Ancilla instead of with a screen transition. But if you put 5 things on the screen at the same time, then the splash can't spawn, and the game doesn't understand that you're not that you're in deep water with no flippers, so it just lets you swim.
And it looks like AmazingAmpharos has found our second sword in Eastern. Both of our runners having fighter sword, but pulled from different spots.
Yeah, it's really great news for AmazingAmpharos because now he doesn't have to go to a swamp. Like, Skullwoods is an option. Going for bottom right strats here on Arbos. No quick kill, but same number of arrows. Catfish with half magic there for Ralen Tankir. And he's going to mirror and do more splash deletes, it looks like. Again, he needs to put 5 Ancilla on screen. Ancilla being basically like sparkly effects from items and things like that. So bombs count, the block counts, and the red boom actually counts for 2. He explodes the block, and then the shots from the block exploding, each one will count individually to add up to his 5 total, allowing him to fake flipper right there. Unfortunately, getting the full heal, which breaks his water walk. He'll have to walk back outside to set it up again. And even though he got that sword, AmazingAmpharos is going straight to Swamp Palace, valuing the density here of Swamp over Skullwoods.
Meanwhile, Ralen in that fairy fountain finding the ice rod, putting us, the viewing audience, into no mode.
That's a pretty big find there for Ralen Tankir, because whenever AmazingAmpharos does, or even though he does have the flippers and this isn't logic, the flippers and the fire rod both gave him access to so much stuff. Who knows when he's going to do those flipper checks. Like, Ralen just needs to go to pod, huh?
Yeah, I think he finds everything he needs once he makes his way down that way, but looks like he's opting to knock out Hera beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, the Hera was a really frustrating check for him, not being able to kill the boss while he was there. So I'm sure it's like eating at him, just like sitting there in the back of his mind, like, hey, what if there's progression on Moldorm and you didn't get it? And then with the Cane of Berna, he'll also be able to grab a Spike Cape while he's here. So not the least efficient thing he could do. For AmazingAmpharos, though, like, he's going to full clear swamp. He might skip left side, but oh, nice super speed clip there for Ralen Tankir, the Hera pot. This makes his trip up to Moldorm just a little bit faster. The Hera pot is a newly discovered glitch where we can now clip into the pot to get to the top of Tower of Hera a lot faster. He did a super speed variant of it. Usually you see it with a bomb, but the super speed is very fast if you can do it quickly like he did.
Ampharos opting to skip left side swamp and head straight to his Argus fight.
Yeah, this is pretty standard for most swamp dips, honestly, to do left side swamp last if you're going to do it at all. He may opt to skip it entirely, but I mean, he's still looking for like Cane of Samaria and the Ice Rod. I think he'll probably head back in if there's an item there. Yeah, not going back for the big chest right there tells me he's definitely intending to come back into the dungeon. If you were planning to skip left side entirely, you would just do the big chest right then.
Yes, indeed. And finding a map, he knows there'll be at least one item to be found back there.
Fighter Sport, definitely not the ideal weapon for Argus here, but with the sword held out, you can do a spin and get like a little double hit on a puff to kill it. It is faster than menuing to the hammer for every single puff.
Ralen, having finished up his Hera, is giving us our first look at Spike Cave. And on the off chance that Ralen finds that second bow somewhere along the way, that will pretty easily lead him into the pod and eastern area, which is where the rest of his value is to be found. But it won't be in Spike Cave.
Where was Kane of Samaria? I don't recall.
Chad informing us it was in Skull Woods. That's right.
Right. Okay, so AmazingAmpharos is going to pick that up for sure. That's an easy find for him. And he is going back into the dungeon. I mean, maybe he's just doing the big chest, but like, he's probably going left side, you guys. It feels so unfortunate from our point of view, right? Because we have like all the information, and it's like, why are you guys full clearing these places? You're basically in go mode if you just go to the right place.
Well, if Ralen's going where it looks like he's going to be in go mode sooner than we think.
Yeah, he will pick up his bow here in pod, which then has the flippers and the fire rod behind it. And then in Eastern is a second sword, and that's all he needs to finish this game.
So now the big question becomes, when does AmazingAmpharos do his flip checks?
And the shovel, for that matter. Like, he'll also need the Master Sword. But he might find a sword somewhere else. It shouldn't be too long before he does it. Like, he'll almost certainly go to Skull Woods after this, just being a Crystal Dungeon he can full clear. We might see him go up to Hera before doing flipper checks, but I mean, before he goes into a pendant dungeon, like the flipper checks look a lot more tasty, right? Like maybe do them like right before you go into Ice Palace, and like, oh look, now I don't have to do Ice Palace. The one thing I'm scared about for AmazingAmpharos is if he does Skull Woods, right, and he gets the Cane of Samaria, and then he goes up the mountain to do Tower of Hera. Going into Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod is not the craziest play, and but it would unfortunately cost him quite a bit of time in this seed.
Yeah, it's one of those tough decisions that Randomizer makes you make, because you're right up there. You've got to think, if it's there, I would be wasting so much time going back down the mountain at this point.
Looks like he is going to get that shovel check in, though. He'll be able to do that with these mirror checks on his way to Skull Woods. If he remembers he has a shovel, anyway. Like, you never know. Like, I forget things all the time. Okay, he remembered. That's good. Very good. It only took about an hour, but we finally have a Master Sword.
That'll make that Moth fight a little nicer.
Oh, he's
Moth with Fighter Sword is another one that you can do.
He's going to get the cape, just in case the Quake Medallion is required. He also has Pyramid Fairy available. He might do Pyramid Fairy before going over to Skullwoods, just because like he's in the area. So we know that the Quake Medallion and thus the cape are not required for the seed, but the cape is still like a nice thing to have, especially if it ends up that you're doing Master Sword Hopeless Ganon. The cape makes the Master Sword fight just a lot easier, assuming you have a magic refill.
And yeah, it looks like Ampharos may be headed towards that big bomb shop. He hasn't been up to Pyramid and Catfish yet, has he? So
no, he hasn't. So kind of unfortunate for him that he's opting to do these overworld instead of just going to Skullwoods. But you know, he is 2 items from Go Mode rather than just 1, so it doesn't look as bad for him to do some overworld that's like more convenient on the way. Yeah,
and on the bright side, if he does follow this route all the way up to Catfish, that's an easy mirror out to Fairy Fountain and his Go Mode item.
Absolutely, he can just mirror from Catfish. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is actually a really great news then for AmazingAmpharos. Like, it's not the most efficient way for him to get to that Ice Rod, but or not the fastest way for him to get to the Ice Rod, but it is like one of the most efficient ways.
Ralen, meanwhile, heading into his Armos fight, I believe, or his Helmasaur fight, rather. In for some good news once he beats that big masked dinosaur.
Alright, that was a red mail on the pyramid. He'll probably pick that up. It's a little out of the way because like you have to like climb up these stairs one more time, but like red mail is pretty good. Oh, he's skipping it? Really?
Oh, he hasn't been to Escape yet. In fact, neither of our runners have been to Escape, I don't believe.
That's kind of bad news. This is a pretty significant time sink. It's still like on the way to his Ice Rod, so it's fine, but like if he had forgotten about this, it would have been so much better.
Yeah, unless he lucks into a Tempered Sword or Silver Arrows, which would be at least some value to come out of this. Worst case scenario, it could get him some kind of progression, pulling him in a different direction. Flute or something like that.
Yeah, definitely possible. I don't think there's too much chance of that, though, just because, like, Skullwoods Crystal, like, you're going to go do the Crystal Dungeon first, no matter what. But as long as he continues this route to Waterfall Fairy, I think he's going to be fine. And, well, we should have a fairly good race on our hands. Ralen getting bodied by these fireballs. Just a couple more arrows. There it goes. And down goes Helmasaur King for Ralen's 3rd crystal, catching up real quick to AmazingAmpharos. 2 quick spins, takes out the ball and chain guard. AmazingAmpharos picks up his 3 bombs, mirrors out of the dungeon, and hopefully continues this route.
Yeah, jumping back into that portal, things are looking good.
He's just going to skip the red mail. I mean, obviously he doesn't need the red mail. Like, AmazingAmpharos is an AmazingAmpharos player, and can definitely kill Ganon without the red mail. But it was just so, it was right there. That's my thinking.
Oh no!
Please tell me that you're just doing Graver Legend, going straight back to Catfish. He could continue this direction and just go into Skull Woods from here, but oh my god, that leaves him away from the Ice Rod.
Oh, yeah, if he doesn't head back towards the Ice Rod now, who knows when he gets back to it. I mean, I suppose he knocks out Skull Woods, maybe Tower of Hera, and then he's down to more overworld or dungeon dips, and it's hard to think of a better place to go after collecting the crystals you can collect.
Yeah, it ended up being a real good thing that he didn't find the flute like you were saying. Oh, he's going back. Okay, he was just doing Great Village.
Yeah, could have cost him a little bit of time if he decided to go towards the crystals, but as I think about it, probably not even that much.
Oh, this is fun. He's doing the mirror bonk to turn in the mushroom here. So like he purposefully steps in this portal in a way that's going to mirror bonk him on the bush from the Dark World, and that will transition the screen and cause the mushroom turn into complete. This is the fastest way to turn into mushroom. Obviously, the mushroom was nothing, but I appreciate fun little text like that. That's cool.
Oh, absolutely. Free, clever little time saves are what this game's all about.
Half Magic definitely happy to see that as AmazingAmpharos, and he heads into Waterfall Ferry and picks up
a piece of heart. Oh, I mean an ice rod.
There it is. Okay. I started a little early.
Meanwhile, Ralen doing the nice, fast, scripted kill on Armos, picking up a 4th crystal.
Yeah, and we're tied up on crystals now. AmazingAmpharos will continue these flipper checks because he is still missing the Kena Samaria. But it's not going to take him that long to make his way over to Skull. It's like that is the clear place for him to go next.
Ralen heading into his swamp palace. He'll be able to save a little bit of time here by skipping left side and go-moding it.
He's still on Fighter Sword? I thought there was a sword in Eastern or something. Am I crazy? I thought there was a sword in Eastern. Was it in Swamp?
Chad informing us that it is in Swamp.
No. He skipped the vanilla big key chest.
And went straight to Armos.
No, it's not necessarily the end of the world. There are 4 swords in the game. It's not unlikely that he's just going to have like a sword in TR or GT or something. But this is a huge point of contention right now, because if there's not a sword on the way, Ralen is not in a good spot.
And with only 2 swords left in the pool, well, there's all of Turtle Rock to go, and then of course GT.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty likely that he's gonna find a sword on the way. But like even if there's a sword on the way, he'll be a sword down, right? Because AmazingAmpharos would pick up that same sword.
That's true, and Master Detempered makes a pretty big difference in a few fights coming up. Not the least of which being Ganon himself, of course.
AmazingAmpharos is not having it with these Gyftos. Said whatever, I'll just eat her. Fine. He tried for a while to do it naturally, but just gave up. So, sword situation aside, I would say AmazingAmpharos has a little bit of an edge here. The dungeons that he has left are a little faster than Ralen's. Go moding swap is pretty fast though, but without that Master Sword, maybe Ralen's not going to be go moding.
Yeah, that's always a bit of an open question. When you have everything else for Go mode besides Master Sword, how far out of your way do you go to try to pick it up?
Well, it skipped the bomb lock chest and the south chest, so I'm sure he'll do like the waterfall fairy, or not the waterfall fairy, but the waterfall chest, and probably flooded room. As long as he doesn't go back into swamp, it should be fine. And he is going down to the flooded room. This makes a lot of sense. Burn it to the ground, AmazingAmpharos says.
Always nice when the moth cooperates.
And that is our 5th crystal for AmazingAmpharos. Now don't be gambly here. Finish up Skullwoods, get your last item. Okay, so he's gonna full clear Skullwoods. That's good. That's very good.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine piecing out at this point, but you never know.
I've seen weirder things from even better players. Not that there's that many, but sometimes people get like an itch to skip things.
Well, you know, there's no mistakes, just gambles that go wrong. Ralen showing off the double hookshot fighter sword tech on Argus. It is much harder than it looks.
It does save quite a bit of time over doing it single puffs at a time. Having a little trouble with these fire rod shots, though. Don't blame him. It's actually kind of challenging to hit Argus with the fire rod. He has like the weirdest hitbox. It's so much more narrow than the sprite might suggest. And Ralen is not going back into Swamp Palace. This is very good. He has opted to go mode and just hope that a sword is on the way. And AmazingAmpharos picks up his Cadence Maria, and that is go mode straight up for him. He is out of here.
True go mode at 1 hour, 8 minutes, and change.
Oh, he gets the fully go mode Tower Parrot too, huh? Like he hasn't been there yet.
Yep, this is the dream. Final climb up Death Mountain, knock out Tower of Hera and Turtle Rock on the way.
This is really where Herapot shines too. Like he probably won't even check the basement cage or the map chest and just immediately Herapot to the top. So Ralen I'd say about like half a normal dungeon size behind right now, plus a sword. So definitely some time to catch up here for Ralen, but not insurmountable. Like both of our runners are on very low equipment right now with just the Master Sword and Fighter Sword, and no silvers even. So every single thing they do, execution holds a bigger value, right? Like there's a much bigger difference between a bad Master Sword fight and a bad tempered fight, right?
Absolutely. All that time spent charging up spins. This is the sort of race where GT big key placement can make a big difference. Routing, all kinds of stuff can still shake things up.
Raylan's Mothula not being quite as nice as AmazingAmpharos was.
No, those spikes are out for blood. Ooh, clutches it out with 2 hearts.
Oh, AmazingAmpharos, you just hookshot it to the right. You know how many frames that loses? At least like 2, I swear. It's very, very slightly faster to hookshot to the left there for the pot because the screen doesn't have to scroll as far back. Oh, Stalfos, please!
Very rude skeleton. My eyes are glued on AmazingAmpharos' screen because a sword in Turtle Rock is going to make a huge difference here.
What Ralen really needs to happen, though, is for the sword to be in GT and for them to like take different routes. And then have AmazingAmpharos like not find the sword. Because like if the sword's just on the way, then that just means like Ralen can get the Master Sword easy, right? But it also means that AmazingAmpharos would have Tempered Sword, which is definitely a huge time save for both the Gauntlet and Ganon.
True enough. That sword could also be, say, in Vanilla Big Key Chest here, which Ampharos might decide to skip. Could be in Mimic Cave,
like,
those...
like Laser Bridge or something. AmazingAmpharos is skipping the Lava Chest, the Vanilla Big Key Chest. This is pretty standard for Go Mode Turtle Rock. But opting not to skip the big chest.
Yeah, that's, skipping that chest a little more of a gamble. Most of the time, it's gonna wind up being unnecessary, but every once in a while, the key logic winds up really punishing you for skipping it.
It's super rare, honestly. Wow, Ralen. This,
oh, and
this
it winds up
Bari.
being silvers.
Oh, very nice find. This Bari on Ralen Tankir's screen, just refusing to let him move on. There we go. And the small key means he gets to skip all of Laser Bridge. So, like, best case scenario here for Ralen is, like, the sword, there is a third sword just on Laser Bridge. And he does check it, because he'll almost certainly check Laser Bridge, even if he skips Vanilla Big Key Chest.
Yeah, that is a lot of checks to skip when you're not in true go mode, all bunched up nicely together. I suppose absolute best case scenario would be 2 swords in there, why not?
Wouldn't be bad. But yeah, about half a dungeon behind here. It's definitely a significant amount of time. Like if they do all the same things from here on out, like it's unlikely that Ralen's gonna be able to win. But GT is this like huge question mark, and everybody likes to take different routes through GT in different situations, and we may see some lead change if they go different directions.
Ampharos having a little bit of trouble with his hammer strats. Try next fight. Gonna have to deal with some ice floors from here on out.
Oh, down to 4 hearts already, too. The AmazingAmpharos still does have to do Hera, but that will be very, very fast. Oh, taking one more hit. Down to 1 heart. He does not want to use his potion. He definitely wants to save that for GT and Ganon. Could play it a little safe here, not go for the double spin. Oh, he drinks the potion. That's unfortunate. He's not going to take any more damage, too. So the potion was just wasted. Oh, he did take damage.
Oh.
Okay. It was worth it, then. That's straight up worth it, then. And we see Ralen is making sure to full clear Turtle Rock. He does not want to have to come back here. Getting 300 rupees from the lava chest there. Now, we're not doing the big key guessing game yet, you guys. AmazingAmpharos still has to do Tower of Hera, but this will be very, very fast, especially if he does the Hera pot.
Ralen poking his head into the Mimic Cave, hoping to find that sword.
If nothing else, he will definitely find silvers here in the big chest.
Yeah, and that does make that Master Sword Ganon fight a little more palatable.
AmazingAmpharos going after Hera pot here. This is a bomb strategy. Doing some lineups in the blocks there to help him find the pixel position. And then menu buffers to land in the right spot. He misses it the first time. Try for a second one.
Herapot, one of those pieces of tech with a few different setups. This is one I haven't personally seen before.
It's amusing for me because like I made the first guide for the Herapot, right? That showed like the setup that I used. And ever since I made that and people started making like different guys with different setups, like I'm constantly getting people coming to me and saying like, hey, your setup sucks. This one's way better. Have you tried it? But like the setup that I learned it with, like it still works.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I learned from your video, and it taught me well enough that I have not felt the need to relearn it a different way.
I appreciate that. All right, AmazingAmpharos does get it. It took him a while, but he does manage it.
And no sword on the laser bridge.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate there for Ralen. Like, that's something that he really needed to have happen. But with how long it took AmazingAmpharos... Oh, go ahead.
Just saying, Ralen taking what's called the safety door here in Turtle Rock, going out and then in, so if he takes a bad death on Trinex, he'll have a quick walk back.
I think he probably could have done without the safety door with the blue potion and half magic and all that. But better safe than sorry for sure. Especially since you were already at the bottom of Laser Bridge.
Yeah, it doesn't take too much time to go ahead and set that up. Better safe than sorry, like you say.
And that was very quickly. 7 crystals. Guess 22 locations. Quick. We don't have time to do the whole spiel.
2.
We will be following AmazingAmpharos through his trek into Ganon's Tower, and even if Ralen ends up finding the big key first, AmazingAmpharos's chest number will be the winner. All right, we got GT entry at 119.59. I'm sure somebody will write it down, right? No God GT today, and AmazingAmpharos is going for the Hope route. We call this the Hope route because you start with the Hope room and hope that the big key's just in there. It wasn't, though, unfortunately.
Ampharos deciding to go left side after Hope Room. You see a lot of runners heading right if they find that small key, but not today. And we do have a sword in Dark Magician Room.
This is it's like good news and bad news for Ralen. Like good news, there is a sword in GT. He's not going to have to go anywhere else looking for a sword. But bad news, AmazingAmpharos did also find it. So he has that advantage over him. Tempered Sword fight is a lot smoother, a lot easier, a lot faster than the Master Sword fight. And with AmazingAmpharos already having a lead into GT, definitely important. And Ralen entering GT at 121.40, just a couple minutes behind here.
Ralen opting for the Dark Magician route.
Oh, this is actually this could be really good.
Yeah, best case scenario, he collects his sword, mirrors out, and finds the big key on the right-hand side. That could be a significant time save.
Yeah, if the big key ends up being in Compass Room and he does route that way, and this isn't like Random Rush or something, then he finds the big key first. Ten arrows, small key, big keys in Random Room. Oh, AmazingAmpharos taking that lead, keeping that lead.
But Ralen, I said Dark Magician route, but he is continuing left side, so it's Ampharos definitely still has a lead, but it is still a race.
So we won't be able to see what he actually intended to do with this route. Like the general strategy, if you go straight to Random Room right here, is to mirror after Random Room. But he might be intending to go full right, but he will find the big key in Random Room. This is the fastest route he could have taken to get to this big key. So our runners are actually going to be fairly close to each other. AmazingAmpharos does have the lead, entering the gauntlet probably a minute and a half faster than Ralen. But he also has that Tempered Sword, which is going to speed up the gauntlet, but especially will speed up the Landmo fight, or not the Landmo fight, the Ganon fight. If we find maybe if we find a sword in Mini Helma Room or something like that, it might be a lot closer. But even now, just any mistake really, really matters for both of our runners.
Absolutely. It's still a very close race. I haven't been paying terribly close attention to what's hiding in either of our runners' bottles. I believe Ralen's got one more safety than Ampharos.
I believe Ralen has a blue potion for sure. Definitely remember seeing that. But AmazingAmpharos did drink a red potion on the try next fight. AmazingAmpharos taking the safer route here on these torches. The fastest way is to light the far right torch first, but it involves some really nifty maneuvering to get around the fire bar without getting knocked off. And we got temper, we got silvers, no reason to check these chests.
Ralen tearing through the gauntlet here, heading into his
nice.
Lanmo 2 fight.
Very nice Master Sword gauntlet for sure. Very easy place to lose time, but he did a great job. Oh, his Lambo though, getting hit by that fireball, he's not going to be able to get the one cycle. Just 3 bombs in the final chest of Ganon's Tower, so no sword there for Ralen. That's the one chest he almost definitely was going to open. This is definitely AmazingAmpharos' game to lose. And like even on like great equipment, like Ganon is not free by any means. You do have to play well. One little misstep on Ganon can involve like having to redo the entire fight, or running out of magic or safeties or something like that.
Absolutely. Aga 2, not one of the more difficult fights, but not always easy to do quickly. Ampharos making it look easy.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty clean 3 cycle. Alright, Ralen is checking extra chests. Gets a clutch full heal there, but no sword in mini helmet room. One more chest that might have a sword for him. Alright, no sword in GT today, or no sword in a gauntlet today. So we'll be Master Sword Silvers for Ralen Tankir. Ampharos putting that half magic to use. Oftentimes, especially like the better a runner is overall, you see them like get real stubborn on a fight like this. Like even if you have the cape, they're still like, nah, I don't need the cape. I got this, and sometimes that really ruins people's day. So I like that Ampharos switched to the cape there, just to be sure that this is not going to be the end of his run. No torch glitch, but it hardly matters because we got double silvers, and down goes the big pig for AmazingAmpharos.
Get your GGs in chat for AmazingAmpharos crossing the bridge and entering the Triforce room with an official SRL time of 1 hour 28 minutes 49 seconds.
GG. Ralen just finishing up Aga 2 here. So, I mean, just a couple minutes behind. Like, with everything that happened in the seed, I think both of our runners played really well. Things just lining up for AmazingAmpharos just a little bit better.
Absolutely. As Ralen enters his own pig fight, let's take a moment to thank both of our runners for putting on an amazing show for us today. Go ahead and give them a follow because they're out here putting themselves on the line for all of our entertainment, and we really appreciate it. And it looks like once we're done witnessing Ralen's Ganon fight here, we will be joined by Ampharos for a little post-race interview.
This is the Master Sword fight. It's definitely a lot sketchier than the Tempered fight, but like everybody in this tournament right now is such a good runner. I don't think he's gonna have too much trouble. Well, I say that, and he's down to 3 hearts. Oh my gosh!
That's okay. That's what safety potions are for.
Oh, we have 3 potions, 1 of each color, the whole gamut.
Ganon also cooperating with some good teleport placement, allowing Ralen to get some double spins in there without too much trouble.
So that little double spin he did there, like at the end when he's like right up against the circle, that's really hard. Like it's not too hard to get like 1 spin, but to get close enough that you get the double without walking into the fire bat, that's really difficult.
Yeah, definitely nice to have that second safety in the bank so you can make those slightly riskier moves. But Ralen making it look easy for us here.
Oh, misses the spin though, just a little too far away from Ganon. Luckily doesn't get knocked off the edge.
That would be a real heartbreaker after such a long, well-fought race.
And this should do it right here. Down goes Ganon.
GG's to Ralen Tankir, crossing this bridge and finishing in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, 57 seconds.
GG.
And I see we're joined here in our voice interview by AmazingAmpharos. Congratulations, sir, on your win.
Thank you very much.
And Ralen Tankir joining immediately after. How you doing? GG.
GG.
This seed was just something else. A pod was just wow, right?
Pod's good in this algorithm, but this was good even by pod standard.
Yeah, things were like when you guys, both of you, when you went to pod for the first time, it was God, I have like nowhere good to go. I guess pod's not terrible. I could potion glitch or something if I really need to. And then, oh look, the bow. Oh look, the flippers. Oh look, the fire rod.
I mean, I was pretty optimistic pod was going to have value. I had to look for the big key anyway. I didn't feel bad going into pod when the bow was in the first chest. I mean, I was laughing.
So one of the bigger difference makers between you guys was the Eastern Palace big key chest had a sword. So AmazingAmpharos ended up with 1 more sword than you, Ralen.
Yeah, we already talked about that. It wasn't a product of my route really, because when I ended up in pod, I hit go mode more or less, or sword mode more specifically, and well, there are 3 swords somewhere, and the probability to find at least 1 entity isn't that small. So yeah,
Oh yeah, you
already
made the
said
right call.
skip a few long duration single off checks, that swamp one to go down there, the Eastern Palace big key chest, and hope to find a sword somewhere on the way, which was true, but unfortunately the one thing that I hoped that would not happen happened, and I skipped the sword.
Well, if it makes you feel better, going back into Swamp was a piece of heart and 3 bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I half go moded Swamp, so yeah.
No, I think you made the right call given the information that you had. It was just the way the seed lined up for your routing was just a little less favorable than how it lined up for AmazingAmpharos, getting to Eastern Pod a little earlier and needing more items, so more willing to check that location.
Yeah, if I had needed an item for go mode, I would never skip that, because I am usually a pretty big fan of checking it as the Eastern Telespeak key chest gave me quite a good amount of valuable items over most of my races, so I usually like to do it. Yeah. Of course, it's the one time when I don't do it's actually important.
The other major difference maker, though, was, if I remember correctly, this was like 2 hours ago, but Ralen, you went to Sahasrara early, is that right? And got the
Yep.
mirror? Yeah, so you got the mirror early, which made like some of the routing like better, but also worse at the same time. Like you got to Hera earlier, but like you couldn't kill the boss, and then you do like the mirror checks, but you have to come back anyway for like hammer pegs and stuff. So like I'm not sure if that ended up really gaining or losing time overall, but it was definitely like a big difference maker in how the seed ended up lining up.
So, yeah, was the Hera big key in the basement or the other basement?
It was not firelocked. There was an item in Hera basement, I think.
But the item was in the basement and the second item on the boss, so on my trip I couldn't grab the one and didn't want to grab the other.
Yeah,
It was a
because
bit unfortunate.
I went into Hera with 6 crystals in go mode, so I grabbed, the chest on the way and just Hera potted up, but, man, I bungled Hera pot pretty badly. It was 4th try Hera pot. It's like, well, if the big key's in the basement, I still save time. But either way, that was an interesting thing to do there. I also am going to bring up the early game. Man, the start of the seed wasn't friendly at all, where you get no bombs or money, and I'm just full of regrets not taking those 10 extra rupees from that tree pole, and I'm just 50-50ing that bomb bush because I have no other viable way to my first explosives.
I'm curious why you opted for that rather than just like dipping the well a couple times for the rupees, or going into Blind's Hideout and just hoping for bombs there instead. Which I think there was bombs in Blind's Hideout.
There
But you
were,
didn't.
but Blind's Hideout without bombs is just terribly bad. It's 2 extra transitions. It's just really slow. I would have needed, I think, 3 more loops through the well, so it wouldn't have even been faster than what I actually did. Like, the way I route the early game, I check multiple tree poles, I check the rupee crab, I get several checks. The odds of me being in that situation are really low. Like, I could play 100 seeds and not have this happen again.
Right.
But it's so funny because the whole time I was doing that, I was thinking, turning my nose up at those 10 extra rupees from my very first tree pull, I would be at 30 right now if I had them. And then I could just do the other tree pull and snitch east and I'd have 50. And that would have made me look really smart instead of really dumb.
Speaking of looking really smart, I noticed when you turned left to go get the graveyard ledge, my heart was in my throat knowing that you needed to go back around to Pod, but also knowing that you were heading in the direction of Skull Woods and a crystal. Did that cross your mind at all to just keep going that way, or were you always planning to turn back around for Pod?
Well,
For
I was turning
Catfish.
back around for Catfish at that point, but
Catfish, yeah.
that was always the plan. North of Grave, I was going to Orphan if I didn't go do it right then, but Catfish into Zora was the primary plan, and Bumper Ledge was something I was going to combo with Skull Woods after Zora River. I had basically the whole seed mapped out if Samaria trolled, because, I I found Samaria and Skullwoods. If I didn't, I was checking Bumper Ledge, save and quit, check Hylia Island and Hobo in one route, save and quit Mountain, Hera, Ether Monolith, Spike Cave. Then I was going into Ice Palace, and that just left back a Thieves, and I would have full cleared for Samaria.
Yeah, Ralen actually got his Ice Rod before ever going to Pod via some super sweet Splash Delete tech. We were really worried that it would be a while before you would make your way over there to get that Ice Rod. Like, there was a world where you like went up to Hera and hoped it was just in there, and then if it wasn't, go into TR without the Ice Rod or something. So very happy that you went to Waterfall Valley.
Yeah, I had just had so much item density in the Northeast because, you know, Catfish into Zora is 5 checks, and
The dream.
I was able to do Mushroom on the way. There was just everything just comboed with everything this seed. It's really nice when you're able to make it string like that.
Yeah, as for me, getting that red boomerang early is really nice for me. I like to have it. I like to swim with it. So yeah, I was prepared. I was trained, and it lined up the seed.
Hey, the red boomerang saved my life early in the game too, because I was at 1 heart going to Ice Rod Cave. I bombed the cave open and spawned a green guard.
Ooh.
Good thing I have fast enough reactions to pull out red boomerang and stun him.
I had hookshot already at that time, so could have just used that also, but yeah.
Yeah, boomerang has better frame data.
Well, when all said and done, I mean, I think you both put on a very good showing here. Although obviously the result isn't exactly what you wanted, Ralen. I think you did a fantastic job. It just lined up just a little bit better for AmazingAmpharos. But this is a best of 3. You have an opportunity to take him out in the next 2 games. Do you know what settings you might choose for the next race yet?
Honestly, I have no real idea. I have tried to scout some information about my opponent to maybe get an idea of where I could gain an edge, but all I could get hold of was that we would be pretty close overall. So yeah, I think actually it's just that one routing decision that it comes down to in the end. May not change anything, but I have to think about it. The one idea or that I floating around for the last couple of minutes was just making this sword assured, as I had in story with throughout my tournament races, having at least 1 sword less than my opponent. So starting on 1 sword already is maybe gets me too tempered.
Yeah, it makes it a little less likely to finish the sword on Masters, finish the game on Masters Sword for sure.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you guys already have Game 2 scheduled, right, for tomorrow?
That will be tomorrow. Yeah.
So that is same time tomorrow, I believe. AmazingAmpharos versus Ralen Tankir, Game 2. Cannot wait for it. I would love to see you tie this up, Ralen. No offense, AmazingAmpharos. I just like Game 3s.
I mean, no offense taken, but I'm going to try to break your heart.
Well, do you guys have anything else to add before we wrap it up here?
Thanks for having me on Restream and for commentating and for the tracker. I doing this myself, I know how much work it is, so it's always appreciated. Working behind the scenes.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks to the whole crew. It's always nice to have a restream, both for the people and for myself. You can learn a lot more from the game watching it back. And yeah, it was a very interesting seed. I think a pretty friendly one. Maybe Game 2 or prospective Game 3 will bring out a little more of those trolls.
I hope not.
Nobody wants to see a jet seed.
Well, I like to see a jet seed that my opponent doesn't jet.
Well, it's not a jet seed then, if it's not always jettable.
Oh yeah, the needle and haystack seed. Every item but 1 is free, and then one player goes to the one item right away, the other full clears.
So you want a god route, not a jet seed.
I mean, I guess at this level, honestly, I think everyone just wants to win and they don't care how, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's gonna about do it for us. Final words, Ben Creighton.
Well, thank you both for putting on a great show. Like you said, big thanks to our lovely tracker and all the people working behind the scenes to make this show happen. And folks watching, if you want to watch more Randomizer, we've got nothing but coming up on Speed Gaming 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. So stay tuned. Lots more to come.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.